morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Monday. Hope it finds you well out there. Hope you had a great weekend, all the dads out there. We were out at the lake yesterday. We had a good time. Wasn't as crowded as I thought. Let's face it, boating's not it's not a cheap thing, right? It's not, especially after you got to pay for all the gas and all the stuff. But we had a great time out there, I got to tell you, though, I got sunburn on just one part of my arm. I thought I was under the shade. Like, my whole body was under the shade except one spot on my arm. And, it's on fire right now. I'll just tell you, there was not enough sunscreen in the world to be out in the sun like that all day yesterday. But hope you guys had a great Father's Day out there. The golf tour, I don't know if you know me, I'm a big golfer. Bryson DeChambeau, one of the live guys, the professor. He ends up winning the U.S. Open as Rory McIlroy, who all my friends know. I despise that guy. I've never liked him. Let's face it, he's a Euro. He's not an American. I'm going to pull for the Americans. He pulled a Greg Norman and missed two putts inside of 4 feet in the last two holes to lose by a stroke. But you know what, Jason? I feel like it's very emblematic of where we are as a society, because it's normal for the guy to, congratulate the winner, at least, shake his hand. They were right behind each other. But nope. He goes, he shakes the putts. DeChambeau makes his putt. What does McIlroy do? I'm not talking to anybody, and he hightails it out of the parking lot, and, I'm not even going to shake the guy's hand.
Well, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of golf, but it seems like there's a lot more proper or polite behavior in golf, so I guess it is a kind of a symbol of America, I guess. We can't even shake hands on the golf course. I mean, I guess I'd be pretty mad. I mean, if I got super competitive like that, I'm sure I'd have a bad moment or two if I lost. I guess I'd be more like John Daly, try to take something to numb the disappointment, maybe.
Well, John Daly may have had a little drink and a smoke, but he probably would have stayed around and at least shook the guy's hand. I don't know.
Well, because he's numb to it. I mean, come on, if you numb yourself down, disappointment doesn't hurt as bad. I'll bet that guy that ran off there, it's probably hurting him even worse today. I'll bet.
Well, either way, 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Physical delivery of wealth insurance, gold and silver. AllAmericanGold.com is the website. And I'm just going to tell you right now, my arm's on fire. I'm just going to say that's like all I can think about. Well, let's just say it's going to get ugly before it gets better. But having said all this, listen, it's a short week this week. And you're like, what do you mean it's a short week? It's Monday. There's no Juneteenth. Got to remember, that's now an official holiday on Wednesday. The markets will be closed. Jason and I will still be here, but just know that the markets will be closed on Wednesday. The big news for this week, going to be retail sales. That's going to be something we're going to look for clues as to how the consumer is doing. And, again, looking for more reasons for rate cuts. We're also going to have some housing data, some PMI data as well on Friday, but not a whole lot. Jobless claims too. I think the retail sales number and then jobless claims. If we get another jobless claims, if it gets higher than the 240 that we had this week, you could definitely see the market probably push higher, gold and silver probably push higher, because right now let's face it, it's Apple, Nvidia, and I guess maybe GameStop if Roaring Kitty's around. But that's about it. That really is the market right now. I saw somewhere where now Nvidia's like 40% of all of the gains on the S&P this year. just one stock. I mean, it's just very interesting market because, again, right now, it's not up a lot today, but the S&P's at a record, right? The Dow's right near a record. Lots of records, but not a lot of participation in the records.
Yeah, there's a lot of apathy and short patience when it comes to the market. When it comes to market hype, well, what's going to happen when everybody figures out the AI is just just algorithms and really the limit of it is just information gathering and sharing, and that doesn't breed a lot of excitement after a while, Joe. I mean, what's going to happen if 40% of market gains suddenly goes sideways or down because people are like, okay, well, I'm on board with that. What's the new thing? And I don't think they have anything new beyond AI. So that's kind of a dark cloud hanging over the markets, isn't it, Joe?
It's going to be interesting what that really is going to be. I have my thoughts on it. First of all, it's a lot of computing power, a lot more energy. Get ready for the need for a lot more electricity generation. But they want to, I look at AI as more of a massive data mining tool, really. I mean, that's really what it is, right? It's going to go in, and you've got to have massive amounts of data for it to be able to do what it wants to do. But again, I think this is all part of the digital currencies, understanding, very soon people will be born in this world, and when they die, AI can literally tell you everything that person did in their entire life. That's probably what we got, the future we have to look forward to. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. A quick look here at the markets on Monday. The Dow is up 14 points. The S&P's up 10. The Nasdaq's up 30. The 10-year note at 429, so I guess rising a little bit here. Crude oil is up $1, $79.50. Gold's down 10 at 22.25. Silver is a little higher this morning. Well, it depends on where you look. 29.42 on silver this morning. And remember, we're talking about what comes next. Right, we've got a little over 6 months before the end of the year. We've got this presidential election that's coming. We've got the never-ending war drums continuing to beat. We've got record debt piles piling. Look at May as an example. A new record, $347 billion in debt in a single month. It's just a month we pulled that trick off. And we're trying to get you to be more prepared. Right? We know another bust is coming. Whether it's at the end of this year, next year, doesn't really matter. Make sure you get yourself as protected as possible. For those of you, listen, you can't put all your money into gold and silver. Well, you could. We don't recommend that. I wouldn't do that. I don't think you can put all your money into anything. That's how you have the most amount of risk. Check out our friends over at YRefi because you get great fixed rates of return up to 10.25%. And the biggest thing is it's not correlated to the stock market. And I want people to understand every one of these cycles going back to the 80s, we've always done the same thing. And when I say we, who am I talking about? The central bank and the federal government. They always do the same thing, which is spend more money. And they try to convince, we got all these new tools in the toolkit, like quantitative easing or treasury easing, this easing, lowering rates, raising rates, quantitative, all this stuff. But it's all the same tool, just with a different name. It's all debt. And everybody knows it now. It's not a secret. Our ability to keep printing the amount of debt that we're printing is starting to have a very bad effect And this is why we love refi, because it's not correlated to the stock market, which is a debt market. That's what it is. Got to remember, what is the stock market? Stock market is supposed to be debt price discovery. All these tools that they're using against us, right, is to try to hide what the real price of things is. Why do you think they make up all this inflation data? We got 87 different things for inflation. Yet, you know what? Just tell us how much more stuff costs. It's simple. But they don't want you to know. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-YRefi24. Now, we were talking about NVIDIA. Apple, by the way. Why is Apple at record highs right now? Well, guess what they did? Oh, yeah, we've got a new OpenAI tool. Catherine Austin Fitts. I know a lot of you listeners out there pay a lot of attention, for good reason, by the way, to what she says. She's a very, very smart woman. And she was talking about her latest report, the AI revolution, the final coup d'etat. And she says this is a very serious look at artificial intelligence and how it's going to be used to implement control. Now, this last week, we talked about it. I don't know, Jason, if we talked about it on the Patriot Show. We may have talked about it out of the half-empty cup. There was a new, what they called, open board meeting at OpenAI. Now, these are board members, right, that they're hand-picking to make sure OpenAI and its products are aligned with the best interest of the human race. That's what they're telling. Yes, this is what our goal is. Of course, we just had the head, or the former head, of the National Security Agency put on the board, right? Jason, when you look at the who's on the board of this OpenAI, this has nothing to do with the best interest of the human race. Really, what it has to do with is the best way to control the human race.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it as well. I don't watching the future of these things. You know, that's the part that we are looking at, right? When we see these things, we're trying to figure out, well, what does this mean, right? How does this affect us? And so far, I've been doing this way less years than you have, but these things that you're pointing out, like today, this thing. It's always a dark, cloudy shadow over what's getting ready to happen, and it seems worse than ever. The buildup. I mean, the news cycle's been kind of quiet lately, right? But everything that is reported is leading us towards this economic change that's coming, Joe. And this is just another one that it's just not. It doesn't look good, Joe. Does it? It looks well, very much like somebody's losing control, and they need to be able to see everything and everyone, and see what's going on to move us to wherever we're supposed to go to.
It's just like we talk about, pieces to the puzzle, and what Catherine Austin Fitts, right? As she's starting to put the puzzle pieces in place, she's realizing, oh my gosh,
yep.
Right? This is even worse than I thought it was going to be, right? Because we're trying to figure out, what is this thing going to do, right? They want you to believe that, AI is going to replace all these jobs and it's going to be able to do all this, right? It can pass the bar exam and it can do your taxes, right? Oh, all this stuff. What is it really about? Edward Snowden, remember him? He just tweeted out and said, you should never use any of these products, including ChatGPT. Snowden also said you have to understand where this is going. You have been warned. AI will alter the prospects for a free society. I believe that wholeheartedly. This is I thought it was bad with the cell phones. Like this is, we're all walking around with tracking devices, right? You've got at least one. I don't care what you're doing. You've got at least one app that's tracking everything you do. And most of us probably have a couple of dozen and don't even know it, right? They're just tracking everything. But it's not just free society. Even free will. An attempt to seed the idea human-only decision-making will become a rarity and in time cease to exist. And that's kind of interesting because, right, this is the thing that we always talk about. When we talk about AI, Jason and I, we talk about it's only as good as the programming it was given, right? But essentially, people will end up, right? We talk about the lack of critical thinking already. Now imagine AI, Jason. You could literally have humans, the whole critical thinking process could disappear. I'm just going to do whatever the chat GPT tells me to do.
Right. And when it comes to any of these surveillance or control mechanisms, when it comes to technology, it's always eventually leads to the main reason, which is economic control. I think there's no coincidence when it comes to the amount of new IRS agents in this country that's coming along with the AI and the other technologies. I think I mentioned it last week, Joe. I mean, if an IRS agent, I don't know how many audits they can do in a year, but let's just say they can do 250 a year. I mean, that's like every workday, right? I don't even know if you can do that many. But they're going to be able to threaten and move taxpayers into and back them against a wall very easily with a device like this that can track and do all the front end work that the IRS agent used to have to do. Now, if you have 87,000 new IRS agents, how much more auditing, how much more financial control can they do? I was talking to an anonymous guy, a guy who doesn't like to pay his. Doesn't want to pay the federal income tax. He's learning how to try to be a sovereign citizen, and he's had some experience with kind of poking the bear. And one thing he said is a lot of times the IRS agents they don't really even know who to audit or who to go for. That the information is very thin. You think the IRS is they know everything, right? This guy was saying their information is very thin, but this gives them a whole lot of information with a click. Boring, because let's face it, they don't want to work. They just want to click a keyboard to get everything they want on the guy. And how many more audits, how many more threats to the average guy can they do if they have these tools at their disposal? Cryptocurrencies where we don't know where they came from. I was just looking at some cryptocurrency information. Government with the largest amount of Bitcoin ownership. The U.S. government. For as much as they say they hate it, the U.S. government owns more Bitcoin than any other government on the face of the world. And so, Joe, it just seems to me that this is a high-stakes push towards, hey, they got to tax people more, right? Why tax people more when you can just simply grab it, a lot more efficiently through auditing? Because you've said how many times, they're going to audit the richest. They're going to audit everybody, right?
Everybody. Yeah. Austin Fitz. I just see more and more companies using this type of technology to institute financial fraud and make money from financial fraud in their pricing. You also have thousands of companies to track you for their benefit. It is trying to extract data from you to accomplish whatever the goal is. See, and this is the problem. What is the goal? Now, some company, hey, we just want to track what you like to buy. Okay, that's cool. Maybe we just want to track how much gas you purchase, or how far do you drive every day? How fast do you drive, or whatever it may be. It's like a swarm of invisible locusts that are trying to surveil and track. None of them are trying to optimize your life. None of them to give you a free or an inspired life. Right? They just want to profit from whatever data that they can extract from all of us. And it's funny because if AI was so great, why wouldn't it be promoting, we're going to give you more freedom? We're going to give you, right, everybody's going to have so much more freedom. But instead, no, all of this data is gathered. We don't have access to the data. Right? No, who has access to the data? The companies in the government have access to the data, and they're more than willing, as we know, Jason, to give up all of that access as long as there's a financial benefit to them.
That's exactly the way it works. It's a business, and businesses work for profit. And one of those things, not a bad thing, but not a good thing at the same time, right, Joe? And that could absolutely be used against the consumer. You know, you are the consumer, right, Joe? The listener out there is just, you're a consumer. You're a product that needs to be coaxed and sold to, and they're going to find out ways to make you buy when you don't even think you want to.
I love this line from her. AI has been used to ignore and break laws. After all, it's robotic. It can't be held accountable. Yeah, boy. Isn't that true? Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. Catherine Austin Fitts was out over the weekend warning about AI. Of course, this is what is driving the stock market right now. And she was just saying that the concerns this kind of technology presents, as we know, it always starts functioning in ways that we can never predict, right? All the AI features we see, they make stuff up, right? They lie, right? They don't report the facts. No matter what, AI can't beat God. They want an AI religion revolution. You know, and I didn't ever thought of it that way. But that is really what they want, isn't it? They want us to say, hey, forget about your beliefs. Trust this. Trust the AI that we've programmed to lie, cheat, and steal. Could you imagine going to the court? Well, the AI said you did this, right? Well, but I didn't do it. Well, but you know what? It said you did. And here it is. They produced this document that said you did. Don't buy any of this crap. AI is a disaster for humanity and your freedom. Of course, I don't hate the fact that she thinks gold and silver are the best investments out there. She's encouraging everyone to continue to increase their use of cash. But Jason, man, I think that is a thing of the past. As we know, just from 2016 to 2022, the use of cash dropped in half. It went from like 33% to 16%. It is getting even lower. I don't know if people saw in the Wall Street Journal. They're a little behind. They were doing this article about a guy in New York who was at a game looking for popcorn and a soda, and, of course, was told that if you listen to this show, I tell you all the time, you don't go to any, I don't care if it's a sporting event, a concert, what have you. Jason, you can't use cash. But now, instead what they're doing is they've re-engineered the cash machines. So you remember you used to put your card in and you'd get the cash out? Nope, now it is you put the cash in, they charge you $3.50. You put $200 of cash in this machine and you get a debit card worth $196.50. I mean, this is where we've gone to, right? I mean, here it comes, right? You know what? You want to use cash in the future, you're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah, that's how I see it's going to happen. I don't see a complete canceling of cash usage anytime soon. I mean, I could get phased out, I suppose, Joe, but I think making it, they've already proven they can make anything expensive to use, right, Joe, if they want to get rid of something. And the markets tend to just tell us what we're going to do instead of us telling the markets what we want. Joe, I mean, did people really want to get rid of their CDs and their CD players, right? Or did the manufacturers of cars just say, here, just plug your music in here, your phone, right? It's all digital now. The disc is digital, but we don't. I think plenty of people like the CDs. People were happy with it, but the society as a whole is being moved by those that are the decision makers, and they will tell us where we're going to head. And if they want us not to use cash, they're going to make us not use cash. Yeah. However, I think there's enough dirty deeds going on at the high end of society that I think cash has to be around. So, as you said, how much freedom can you afford? Cash will feel free. I mean, I'll tell you this, Joe. For a lot of the people that I know that don't use cash, when I pull a little cash out and pay for a dinner or something, you can sense people are like, they still wish they could use cash, right? Even the people that don't use cash, when you pull the cash out, you can sense they're like, man, I wish I had money in my wallet, right? You can see it. And then for everybody else, the convenience, it's just convenient. That's just so inconvenient. People like to lie to themselves. I don't need that stuff. That's no good. I don't want that. And then they go and they put their card in, and like you said, Ed Snowden, hey, let the surveillance begin, right?
It's interesting. How brilliant is it? So now, like places like Yankee Stadium, probably everywhere now, they've reversed engineered the ATMs. No, you don't put your card in, you put your cash in, right? And we're going to charge you $3.50 for you to use the cash, because guess what? Nobody will take it. I mean, is that what it's going to be? Right? If you have cash, you're going to have to, like Coinstar, like, who the heck rules change anymore? Right? Nobody does. Nobody does it. And we dump them in that machine at the supermarket, and they whack you for like 11%. But you know what? Try to bring your old stuff to the banks. Oh, my God. They flip out. They don't want that stuff.
Yeah, and I think you kind of were hitting on it a little bit, Joe. I think, every store you go to now, they have like a big wall of those cash-loaded cards, right? For every restaurant, right. Every chain store. I think when you go to a Yankees game, and I don't know if this is kind of what you're talking about, the cash machines, but they'll have their own kind of decentralized inside the stadium money system where you can preload your money into, put your cash into the machine. None of the vendors, none of the, there's so many things to buy at a stadium. Anyone's been to a game. And if you have cash, you load it into the machine. As you say, there'll be a charge against it. You get the little Yankees cash, right? And that'll be good all over the stadium. You leave the stadium, it's worth nothing, right? But the Yankees, I'm going to tell you, every business is going to want this. Every Walmart's going to want this. That's why they have these consumer cards. They want the money to stay in the store. Once you put it in that Yankee card, it ain't going anywhere else. They've got it. And of course, at the game they'll say, hey, if you use Yankees cash, you'll get a 10% off the hot dog. Right. So that way, if you have a credit card, you'll go over to the machine, you'll load your credit card in, get the Yankees cash to get the 10%. But if you don't spend it all, the Yankees still get to deposit that into their account, right, Joe? So this is where digital cash is going to become a big, big deal in the future, Joe.
Well, the best part, right, as we all know, the expiration date.
Expiration date.
Yeah. Yeah, it was $100, but, you had $15 left over, but you didn't use it in time. So thank you very much for the extra $15. I mean, listen, people laugh about that. That is one of the huge advantages of a digital currency. When the government gives out money, remember, here's money. They simply can put an expiration date on the money and say, hey, if you haven't spent this money by blah, blah, blah date, right, we're going to take it back, right? So you better go out and spend it all. Otherwise, you're not going to have any. Speaking of spending it all, what did the government pass before they left for the weekend? I'll tell you what it is next. 800-951-0592. Friday, we ran, man, what a great special Friday was. We had the $20 gold piece and a pre-1921 Morgan dollar. We put it in a little package together. Today, I've only got 40 of these, but we're going to do this again, but with a $10 gold piece, because I know for a lot of people, hey, that 20 is a little more expensive. A $10 Liberty gold piece, $1,260. You're going to save $10 on the $10 gold piece, but you're also going to get a pre-1921, in this case, Morgan dollars, 1904 or older, Morgan dollar for no extra cost. So for $1,260, you get a half an ounce of gold, you get a pre-1921 Morgan silver dollar, all for $1,260. The Morgan silver dollar, the pre-21 Morgan silver dollar, that's $35. It's $35. So when you really think about, you're picking up a $10 gold piece, right, for like $1,225. Just great value. I will say this. June has definitely brought some really good value to the people that are able to pick up some more gold and silver for sure. 800-951-0592, a $10 Liberty gold piece and a pre-1921 Morgan silver dollar, all for just $1,260 today, Jason.
And yeah, if you're somebody that's outside of the pickup area, if you like to pick up in Arizona or in Colorado, this one kind of gives you the whole. Well, if you have to have shipping, you get something for the shipping, right? You think of the silver dollars as your silver lining for having to pay the shipping, because we have to pay the shipping, unfortunately, but we pass that cost on to the customer. But at least you get the metal, you get the cheap gold, and you get the pre-21 Morgan silver dollars. So it's if you're one of those listeners that doesn't always order because you don't want to pay that little extra shipping. Well, this kind of gives you a smile on your face for your shipping charge, and nothing like a half ounce of gold, right, Joe, to make your stack a little heavier.
Absolutely. 800-951-0592. The House of Representatives on Friday passed a $883.7 billion defense bill, more than 1,000 pages. So let's say just approaching $1 trillion. And by the time you get all the Ukraine stuff and Israel stuff and all this other stuff, we're probably going to spend over $1 trillion in it. Funding for military aircraft, ships, vehicles, weapons programs, a 4.5% pay raise for service members, 15% in additional pay for some junior enlisted service members, bringing their overall pay boost to nearly 20% under this year's budget. Includes culture war provisions such as eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion positions. I think that's maybe a positive. Of course, got to remember, that sounds really good, but now it's got to go to the Democratic-controlled Senate, so I'm sure that part will end up being left out on the floor. The Senate version, by the way, Jason, they wanted $912 billion. So either way, we're going to spend a whole bunch of more money that we don't have.
Kind of always spending money that we don't have, right? This is just another aggravated version of it. But if government needs to stop spending money. It needs to let. I don't know. It's frustrating, Joe. I just wish the largest of the government just needs to go away. People to understand that you don't need the government to make decisions. You don't need the government. All the government does is makes life a little harder, makes you work a little harder, and makes life a little more frustrating, Joe.
Yeah, and again, I think it's something where, as we look at the path that we're on, they just won't slow down. It's almost like they don't care, right? We're just going to keep spending, right? We're going to spend until eventually, I guess at the end, right, the market will eventually force our government to stop spending when they stop buying the treasury bills. I mean, it is incredible how unwilling, when you got over 500 people, these elected officials, and literally it doesn't seem like any of them truly want to do anything to rein in the spending.
All I see, especially recently, and I was looking at some stuff about spending. The Ukraine spending, that was 6 weeks ago. Now they're doing another $50 billion. Spend it. I really don't think those that run our federal government have any small idea what it actually means that they're doing as a whole. They just see that generations of politicians before them have been spending. You pay the interest on it. Somebody will figure it out. That's not it's all compartmentalized, right? I don't need to know anything about that. My job is to get my interested parties the funds they need. And that's right. That's the way it works.
Well, I voted for the defense spending, but I wanted to cut something else, so it's not my fault, right? Or I voted for this, but I didn't want to spend that in the military, so it's not my fault. And it's just something where this seems to just be the pattern that ignorance is bliss. Let's just keep doing what we've always done. Let's ensure we just spend more money and more money and more money. I mean, here we are. Let's face it, either one. Whether it's the Senate version, the House version, it's $900 billion, and that doesn't include any of the extras that they're going to throw in it.
Well, let's just see how much your taxes go up the next couple of years. That's one of the only remedies they have for a deficit.
Another sign gold is going to keep going higher right there. It's just another one. They can't help it. Patriot Radio News Hour wrapping up on Monday when we get back. 9510592 Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Monday. $10 Liberty Gold piece and a pre-1921 Morgan silver dollar, all for just $1,260 today. Tell you what, you buy 10 or more, $1,250. 800-951-0592. And, one of the things people do, I think this is, especially the people that are newer to gold, how is it going to work? How is gold going to work? How is silver going to work in a digital environment? How am I going to get my value for it? And the thing that people have to understand, it'll be just like today. It won't be any different. And what I mean by that is you don't take your gold and silver to the supermarket, just like you don't take your 401k or your IRA to the supermarket. You can't buy anything with that stuff. What you have to do is sell it. And then you get, and that right now, Federal Reserve notes. In the future, it'll be a digital currency. Whatever the spot price of silver, is it going to be 5,000 credits, 10,000 credits? I don't, whatever that price will be. But the process, Jason, it really doesn't change. Well, the only thing that's going to change is what you get paid back in when you go to sell it. Same thing if it goes digital, right? When you buy it, right? We're going to, it won't be priced in dollars anymore. It'll be priced in, central bank digital credit or whatever they're going to call it. But you'll buy it with the digital money, and when you go to sell it, you'll get paid in the digital money. It actually won't really change that at all. The only thing that changes, Jason, is the type of money that is used to make and accept payments.
That's right. Yeah, that's kind of what the global monetary reset is all about. There's major changes on how we're going to exchange currencies, whatever that currency ends up being. And I think They charge for everything now, right? I know that there's even a movement out there to charge you for the air you breathe. They got you for the water now, right? Every drop of water, essentially, you're charged for. You can't gather rainwater; that's illegal, right? But how you exchange currencies, there's already a charge to it. By the time you actually have the money that you can actually spend, you've already been charged all the way down to the moment that you have it. And now they want to charge you even more just for the movement of the money. Not for what you go to Walmart and you buy whatever for a kiddie pool for the summer, right? And they charge you the consumption tax. But currencies will be just charged a penny here, a dime there, $1 here, 50 cents there. It's mind numbing, Joe. That I think you talked about AI earlier. I think every individual's circumstance will be evaluated in real time, and they will charge you according to what they believe you can afford. The poorest will be charged the least. Well, there's nothing to charge them, right? The more wealthier you are, the more they'll charge you, and they'll just squish everyone down into working class. Forget the middle class, Joe, because that's going away with all this stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, and again, I think it's emblematic of the problem that we have when you start looking at how much money now. It's just getting ridiculous. Or essentially, you name the program, and it's almost like, okay, well, that's $1 trillion, and that's $1 trillion, and that's $1 trillion. 800-951-0592. Jason and I were coming right back with the Half 50 Cup.